To create a widget, you would need to come in here at the top under the widget, then choose that. And let's say I want a push button, select that. And now I have created a widget. That's all nice and neat. I can also create for example, a color widget. That's the one I want. This is the one I want. Okay. So that's the color widget. And you would see, some of you might be keen and see that, hey, there's a default style object that's just created when I add a widget. So a style object is just a sort of a color scheme or styling object that is the overall style guide. And the style guide can be applied then to widgets. And the widgets can link to these style guides and then use those values in there to then style the widget itself. So for example, I can come in here and change the text color to red. And as you can see, both are linked by default to this default style guide. So those color is there. And then let's say my background color, I want it to be this dark purple. Let's say, that's the style that I want. So you can come in and start manipulating and changing that, for example. So let me just set those back. Alternatively, you can also just make a copy of this and create your own. So which is what I have done. And let me just paste that in here, move this back out. So I've created one called Pastel Blue. And under these widgets, I just need to relink that style. So that's going through something called data source. So I can come in here and select that that style. Another way to access the data source is you can just double click onto a widget and you have quick access to the data source associated with that widget, and you can then very quickly change that there. So you can have different styles and just apply the styles that you need and link them to the widgets that you would want to apply that to. The data source, while we're on this topic, is just a way to enable a widget to a communication channel, basically, from the overall project with this widget. So you can either grab data from the rest of the system into this widget, or this widget can also feedback and send you, hey, someone has done this. This is now the new updated value. Now, please, someone else can then have access to those data. So that's why it's called a data source. We're not going to go any more detail into the different types of data source and what they do. There are online videos, especially the ones surrounding the whole creation of your own widget. That's a bit more in-depth detail as to what data sources are and how to use them and how to sort of create that and use that through a widget object. Cool. So let me just change these back to the default style. And just here we are. If some of you are moving from version 1 of SP, previous version, when you click on sort of right in the middle of these instance of these widgets or interface, you are directly interacting with it. And the feedback was, hey, it's a little annoying sometimes when I'm primarily still just working with my layout. So now in Grid Studio, you are not interacting with it in this mode right now. So even if you click on the middle, nothing happens. You are just selecting it and moving it around. To interact with this with these widgets, you need to be in the play mode. And to be in the play mode, you would come in at the top over here under the play button and click on that. And now this is how you are able to switch to the play mode, and click on the X is to then exit out of that. Another way to enable that is using the keyboard shortcut key, which is the letter V. So hitting letter V will toggle this mode, as you can see. So once we're in the play mode, we can then interact with the buttons or interact with the color field and changing that color. Great. So now I'm able to interact with it, but we haven't programmed anything here just yet. So the thing that we would want to program or be interested in is the event of someone clicking on the button. Let's say I want to press the button and then I want my color field to change. So under the push button, under events, there is the option to then add an event. So to add an event, either click on this little plus icon or click on add events here. And there are a lot of them, but primarily, most likely, you're going to look into either the triggered press or the release press, basically. The release event or the triggered event. The triggered event is when someone is pressing down on the button, and the release event is when someone has let go of the button. Oftentimes, people react on the down event or instead of the up. So we're going to do that. And we do the triggered event. And then under the action, you can then do add an action. I want to, so let me, I want to start editing that color field project value there. In a second. So I can target this color field and target that color. And then I can choose either set color or morph color. Set color just immediately sets that into that value, in the new value. Morph will basically take into consideration what the current value is, and then create a morph to this new target value. And you get to decide the duration. And then also, if you're interested to, you can also edit this curve, the morph curve. So on the bottom is the starting value where it is originally. And the at the top is where you are in terms of the destination, where you've decided over here. So here I want to then change it to be red, let's say. So now I can click on this button and I'm expecting this blue value to then slowly morph over to red. And voila, we've done that. And this is how you are able to use the event and action system to create some triggers and some automations or some logic to do some things. You can create multiple actions. So you can then come in here, add another action, say I want to log this message for, let's say, the button press. And then also, I want to say, hey, I want to print this log message, wait for a few seconds before I actually start changing my color field. So then I can then do a wait. Let's say I wait for 2 seconds, and then I just want to move this action down so that I will do this, wait for 2 seconds, then run this action. To move this around, you can see that there is a 3-bar little icon there. You can just click and drag and move that around. If you want to duplicate this action, all you want to do then is just click and drag and hold down the control key on the keyboard while before you let go of the mouse button. Now you're making a duplicate. So maybe I'm going to morph it to yellow first before I morph it to green, let's say. So now if I hit this button, I'm expecting it to morph to yellow in the span of 1 second, if I remember correctly. And there is another 1 second delay because there was a delay of 2 seconds, and then it's going to then morph to green. So we click that and morph to yellow, wait for 1 second, and morph to green. So this is now how you can have multiple actions, add some different logics on top of there. And so this is a little bit more flexible in terms of what you can do with the event and action system.